When creating a dry point plate, you need to keep the dry point needle quite upright to get a deep groove, and also the metal coming up either side of that groove which is called a burr. You need quite vigorous marks on the metal. Now, assuming that's ready and you've removed any metal dust on your fingers and from the plate, you're ready to ink and print. I'm using Akua Intaglio ink, and I've got here some scrim, yellow pages just taken out of the book, and a small rubber piece of squeegee. I'm going to put on gloves. It isn't toxic ink, but I don't want to get my hands inky, so I'm protecting them with some gloves. And then I'm taking some ink onto the squeegee, and I'm going to rub it into the grooves. What I want is to get the ink into the grooves, so I'm putting it in both directions on the plate to ensure it's gone well into them. Intaglio ink is the kind of ink that you need because it should stay in the ink. You don't want to use relief ink. That will only stay on the surface. Okay, when you've got the ink well into the grooves, you take a piece of scrim and you keep it flat, a flat pad, and you go in both directions, wiping the ink off the surface, but keeping the ink in the grooves. So you wipe until you see the metal start to appear and there's not a thick coating of ink, and then you swap to using the yellow pages. I usually hold the corner with one piece and then polish the surface with the other one. As you can see, I'm holding it quite flat because I don't want to dig into the grooves and remove the ink from those grooves. I'm just moving off of there because that's a bit messy now, and I want it to be a bit cleaner. Right, so I've polished the ink off of the surface and it's left it into the grooves, but it's a bit messy on the back, so I'm just going to wipe that off and then wipe the edges of the plate. You can see the line of black ink on the metal. Right, now that should be about right. I'm just going to make a couple of further marks. Yeah, there were a couple more marks went on the front, so I'm removing them. But that should now be ready. I'm going to place it inside a clean piece of yellow pages, and that's now ready to print. So you need a piece of strong cartridge or print paper. The paper needs to be bigger than the piece of metal that you're using, and you place it in the water bath. If it's cartridge paper, a couple of minutes is okay. If it's print paper, then it may need a little longer, maybe up to 20 minutes even, depending on the type of paper. I'm making sure as I hold it over the tray that the drips go in there so it's not soggy. And then I move it to either blotting paper or plain newsprint, and I put it between and rub the surface so that I'm blotting the excess water off of the paper surface. Now I'm checking to see if it's okay. It is, and I know because it isn't shiny. If it's shiny, then I would need to put it in and blot it again. Okay, so now I've got the plate on the bed of the press. This is an etching press, and I've placed the metal on, and I'm going to put the printing paper, the damp printing paper, on the top, and then a plain piece of newsprint over the top to protect the blanket from getting damp or having ink on it. Now my hands are clean, so the blanket should stay clean, and you make sure they're smooth There are two blankets here. The one on the top is quite furry, the one underneath is very smooth, and that's the way round they go on the press. I now go to the star wheel and turn the wheel and as it goes through, you'll see that the bed of the press is moving, and clearly that's got health and safety implications. I mean, for one thing, you obviously wouldn't put your finger under the roller, but more likely the health and safety implications are that the bed of the press is moving. And at the moment there's not any risk because it's contained within the press area, but from this moment it's coming out the other side, and if there were to be anyone standing the other side, as the bed of the press comes out in this direction, obviously if anyone was standing nearby, you'd need to warn them that the bed of the press is coming in their direction. You don't want it to hit anyone by accident. On this press, I know when I've got to the right place to stop, because that end of the bed needs to come up to the yellow label. And it's the same if I was working in the other direction. So I've taken it up to the label, and now I need to fold back the blankets and, the best bit actually, have a look, see what's happened. Okay. So I take it off and it looks promising. I can see from the back that there's quite a sharp indent around the metal, which means the pressure's almost certainly correct. So I lift it up and have a look, and it does look okay. Now I'm looking very carefully, because if it wasn't, I could put it back down, tighten the pressure and put it back through, but it looks fine. So I'm holding it. Yes, it looks very strong. The black lines have come out very clearly. You can see a bit of plate tone round here, but it's a successful print. I'm pleased with that.